Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to Avoda Agent. In 1998, JR and his wife Anita founded their organization Rescue Kids, originally known as Gift of Joy. Over the last 20 years, they've helped rescue over 1,000 kids from poverty, abuse, and disaster, and provide them with training and shelter and everything they need to become the leaders of the future. Today, you're going to hear from Anita as she recounts the history and the heart of Rescue Kids, as well as give a glimpse into their plans for the future. If you want to donate, get involved, or simply get in touch with JR and Anita, it is really easy to do so. Just head to www.rescuekids.org. The link will be in the description of the episode below. If this episode speaks to you, please consider leaving a nice 5-star review and spread the word to your friends and family. Thanks again for listening. Here's JR and Anita.
That camera and that camera and that camera. Well, today we get to do something that a lot of people have asked me for, and that is an interview with my wife, my hero, my best friend, Anita. So Anita is what a lot of people don't know is Anita actually is the one that started the work we did in Asia, and she pioneered it back in 1998. But before that, there was a lot that happened. It wasn't just jump in and do it. There's a lot of lead up time to that. I would like her to tell some of the stories of Gift of Joy and what happened in Asia, what happened in Africa. I got a bunch of questions here. So first question is, when you grew up, what was life like? Okay.
I grew up in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong, okay.
It's an international city that probably have like 7 million, 8 million people.
Yeah.
So I grew up there, and then just with...
Did you know all 7 million people?
I wish.
Yeah. When you were in Hong Kong, did it feel like a big city at the time, or did it feel like you were just a kid in a community? What was it like?
I have a big family, so my mom is the oldest of like 13 kids. So I have...
You said 13. Let's make sure that was heard. 13 kids.
13, yeah. So I have a lot of uncles and aunties. So to me...
And you have one aunt that's younger than you.
Yeah, one aunt younger than me. No, older than me, 11 months.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
What was life like at that time?
Well, in Hong Kong, everybody lives in an apartment. Mostly if you are average families, because it's very small. So we live in apartments, and it's not like you live in America. You have a backyard, front, courtyard, all that stuff. So I am a city girl.
Yeah, city girl.
City girl, 100%.
Yep.
Never thought I would do any gardening, canning, but I'm doing it
or
now.
Have pets.
I'm doing it, yeah, and two
Never have a dog and a cat, and at times we have fish that sometimes survive.
I was not a pet lover, but I become all this I never thought I would be.
So and cooking.
Oh my, this is huge. Cooking, yep, is big too, because in Hong Kong you have a lot of restaurants. You just go downstairs, and in the neighborhood you will find something to eat, and very inexpensive. So
But good.
Is good. I miss the food in Asia. But in America, I learned that because of my family. I learned how to be a better cook. So it becomes kind of like my hobby. I love finding stuff in my fridge and being creative. Just, okay, let's see. I don't like to follow recipes. So whatever I have, okay, let's make something out of it. So never thought food is such a big deal to me and to my family in my life. But now I'm learning so much, like how to pick the right food, So it takes more time than I ever thought of.
What's the go-to, if you could have it in the morning time, go-to breakfast that you would love to go to right now?
Right now, I skip breakfast. I just have a cup of coffee, and then I'm happy. I'm happy to go.
But if you're in Hong Kong and you have a go-to breakfast, what would it be?
Congee.
Congee.
It's like a porridge, and you cook with rice and more water than making rice, so it's more like a porridge, and you can choose to put any kind of ingredients with it to cook with it. Sometimes I love the filet, and I miss those breakfast.
What a lot of people don't realize when they go to Hong Kong is how lunch for Americans is breakfast in Hong Kong. Noodles, lettuce and noodles, eggs with noodles is a breakfast.
Yep.
Thing.
Hong Kong is quite international, city. So you can find something very American, European, or very Asian.
Yeah.
So, but right now, if you ask me, I would love to try the congee.
So you didn't grow up in poverty in Hong Kong. It wasn't a impoverished place. Hong Kong is a very wealthy place, but your family, what was it like? Because every community, even though it's a wealthy city, what was the family like?
Most of the families, they have two children. They encourage to have two children only because of the living standard, all of that. So I have one younger brother, and my two parents were working. So it's working families, and we learned how to take care of ourselves. When I took bus to school, it's not like you can walk to the
We're not talking about school bus. We're talking public
public bus
that everybody gets on.
Right. So carry a big backpack and heavier than me, maybe. So just, woke up at 5. I remember those days, hot or cold. You just hop on the bus yourself.
Then your mom wasn't there to wake you up, or she was?
When parents were busy and occupied, you just learn how to be independent. So I think I am the oldest, so I mostly took care of myself, took care of my brother. So this is how I grew up, very independent.
And then now your brother had some health issues. You end up taking care of him in some ways.
Right. He had asthma. So he went to the hospital a lot. So I went to the hospital to take care of him, visit him, and yeah. So sometimes I came home from school and didn't find him, and find out he was in the hospital. So it was not a very good experience because you only have one sibling.
And in Hong Kong, you're the big sister. So you're called Jeje.
Jeje, yes.
You're the Jeje.
Well, Jeje is a Mandarin. I speak Cantonese, so it's Jeje.
Yes. So you have a brother, you're going to school. What were some of the things that you loved doing as a kid?
I was looking forward to be with my big family, with my aunts and uncles. Because mom and dad were busy working, and only me and my little brother. So Christmas time, and my aunts would organize a big party for us. We would do a little skit, for the whole family. And I was married at one time, so it was fun. Lots of food, just the gathering, the togetherness. I loved. I missed.
Yeah. So you love that part. What was the things you liked to do?
I did a lot of sports, and the favorite sports I loved, don't look at my height, I loved volleyball. So I was very active, and I think what really changed me, it was when the time I was introduced to Jesus. So it was a big shift from, busy at different activities to something else.
What'd that look like?
I was invited to a meeting, and first time in my life heard about him. Thinking back, I would say this whole good news helped me to find myself. I didn't have as much of kindness and towards people around me because I held on, resentment and unforgiveness with my, upbringing. But knowing him when I was 15 and allowing me to be myself again. I can be kind. It's okay. It's okay.
So then you went through high school, you discovered Jesus, you're doing school, you graduate from high school, and then what?
I did continue on schools, and then I was introduced to do YWAM.
What attracted you to YWAM?
I think it's the people who were attending in it. You know, their lives look different. They had, you know, freedom. They live in freedom. They have joy. And even though I became a Christian, I want more. I want something more. This is not it. Besides being a churchgoer and serving the church, and there's something. And God is bigger than just this in the building.
What was the more you saw in YWAM?
I think when you encounter people, they carry something different. You want to be like them. I want that. And this is one part. And then they also went to different countries and to experience and be able to share the joy. And I also want to have that opportunity and experience.
And did you go to some other countries?
I went to a lot of different places and a lot of Asia's, Europe and India, Nepal, a lot of different places. Yeah.
What was the takeaway from going to those different places?
You know, sometimes you lived in a really comfortable place and then you feel like, I'm pretty good. You know, I am a good person. I treat everybody pretty good. But when you're in a place you're not familiar with and you need to learn about the culture. For example, you went to India, it's like, oh, this is yes. Oh. So really expand my life and seeing God in different people's lives. And it can show a different part of God. So I really, really enjoy. And not to be too judgmental and say, this is it. I have more curiosity in my life and say, oh, ask a good question. Why you're doing this? So I feel like my perspective of life is bigger and, expand to another level.
So did YWAM, then you ended up helping with an orphanage. Mm-hmm. And so how did that transition happen?
Well, first, I was invited to be just a translator. I think my heart was so passionate about people to find a better life. There must have something better, so I was so passionate. So when I went to the orphanage, I saw something different. Oh, some people don't have the right to enjoy a better life. It really, really struck me. And because I grew up, as you know, in Hong Kong, I never met anyone that lived like that. The environment, it was terrible. And I decided to go back every year. In the beginning, I went by myself, and then I started to organize people and going back a few times a year. It became a thing. We were so welcomed to that orphanage, and they expect to see us. We are like family.
And I know a couple stories. So one story I'm thinking of is the little girl that you were holding.
Well, that was the time that I went alone. And, being kind of like a tourist and knowing the city and walking around. And I saw a little box, sitting next to the tree and a crowd around this box. And I was curious, what is it? And I walked close to the box and saw a newborn baby. And there was, oh my goodness, she was beautiful, so beautiful. And red cheek, and is healthy. She was healthy. And I felt like I needed to do something. I took the baby with me and took her to the orphanage and hand the baby to the staff and told her all about it, what happened. Because I was the one to take care of the older kids. They are more disabled, but they are older. They were in another area. So I was spending time with those kids, playing games and washing and just doing different activities. But 3 days later, I remembered, oh, I better to go back to see this baby. So I went to this room, and this room is not like, oh, with pink and blue decorated. It's just two metal, bed with like wood on it. And so many babies laying on these two metal beds, side by side, very small. And I went to check on the baby, and I couldn't find the baby. So I remembered her name, but they put the tag on the wrist. So I was, okay, I can find her by checking the name tag. So I find her eventually, and I saw the baby was laying, on her face, So I lift her up, and I saw the blood on the side, on her face. So me as a city girl, never done anything. I was like, oh.
And you're afraid of blood.
I am so afraid of blood. And I believe I'm not anymore after having few kids. But I was so afraid. What should I do? And no one was in the room. And I just heard the voice saying, let's clean her. So I, cleaned her up, changed her clothes, and I took her out to the garden, the yard. And I was singing a song. Even I don't have a good voice. I just say, Jesus loves you. And walking around. And one thing that was very rewarding was she smiled at me. That little grin in her face. It was such a gift. And I was so happy walking her around. And then what happened really shocked me was, one staff walked by and looked at me and said, hey, Anita, look at the baby. You better to put the baby down now. I say, why? She passed away. So the baby literally passed away in my arms. And I didn't know what to feel. My feeling was like, oh my. And I heard another voice saying, this baby is forever in my arm. Thank you for coming. To let her experience this, the tangible touch. So that was the experience I had. And I knew I have something to do with this group of people. That I felt everybody should be treated equally. But that might be not the case in some area.
So fast forward a little bit to, I don't know how many years it was, but from the time at the orphanage to where you started working on Gift of Joy. You actually were in a school, a leadership school. How did Gift of Joy get started?
Yeah, bringing people to visit the orphanage. And I felt like, okay, what's next? I felt like there's something stirring in my heart, how I can have a longer term impact. So I just took a break and did a leadership school. I just put this project together. I felt like God just downloaded to me and opened up a nonprofit because, it's less political, so I can do way more stuff. So I started this nonprofit and called the Gift of Joy. I just felt like God say, door is open, go. So many, many kids we met and see lives changed.
How'd you land on the name Gift of Joy?
We went to an orphanage, and one of the orphanage, not the one that I went, but we were trying to help some kids. They have heart problems. There are many kids on the list, and I need some help for sponsors. And then the doctor, I talked to and said, Anita, you know what? And you better to, put their face and names and like
the sad faces.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then people feel urged to sponsor them. And I had such a anger in me, like, We are not selling these kids for money. So how this name, came to my mind is like, we don't want to put the big belly, naked body, and sad face and dirty, and to get compassion. I'm not talking about other organizations, but I felt like we're going to see transformation. They are the gift of joy. And to be very honest, because of them, my life changed. Because of them, they inspire me to, if they can do the life like this, I can do a better life. So this is how I felt led to put this name, gift. They are a gift first, and they are joy. They are not here to beg for money. They don't have any needs, to be very honest. They were so tough. Their lives full of strength. They were in such a hostile situations, but they pushed through it. They still bring life to others.
Mm-hmm. So you get the idea for Gift of Joy, get the nonprofit set up. What's your first project?
It was just me back then, so I did not have a lot of money and anything. But I did talk to a few people. They trust me and love me and believe in the vision. They were on board. I remember after I set this up, the first thing I did was responding to a flood that happened in an area. But I only had 1,000 US dollars. And I brought this $1,000 with me. And then I went to this flooding area. And even CNN couldn't go. So I got connected to officials, and they took me to the disaster zone, and I saw the water was way up, so close to the dam, and next to it are thousands of tents. And that was the first time Gift of Joy officially, helped, the children and the families.
And you started helping by sponsoring the kids to get back into school. What was the need at the point that they came to? So the officials kind of worked with you on this.
Right. I'm grateful for these officials. They believed in that project, and they gave me the name list. And I think a lot of things not coming from me. I believe a lot of things, principles and values coming from, heaven, from God. Because he said to me, with the limited resources, and let's help the best of the best. And these kids are not sponsored because they are poor or they need your help, because they are the best of the best. So I talked to the officials. I say, hey, do you have some very outstanding students? Not necessarily just academically, but they truly want to learn. They truly want to grow. So they gave me 70. It's such a good number. So we started to sponsor these 70 kids coming out from this flood disaster that washed away their parents. We have kids, their parents passed away because of the flood, and the house collapsed. So these kids got to go back to school.
And we gave the money, like at the time, you didn't give the officials the money, you gave the money directly to the children to give the money to the school. So
Yep.
they actually paid their own school fee.
Yeah, we visit every home. So it's not like this is governmental thing. So the government knows our intention. And to be very honest, there are, of course, corrupted people. But I'm grateful for the officials that I worked with. They have the same intention that I have. So they visit with us. Every kids, every home, we see the parents if they still alive. So, and then we gave them money, or we will give more is food and clothes.
Yeah. And one of the questions a lot of people ask, do we have an orphanage, or are you rescuing kids from sex things? And what I like to say is evil doesn't have a box. It's all over the place. There's not one evil style that we protect. It's kids.
Yeah. I don't like to say orphanage to people because the kids I have been working with, I want to give them back the dignity. So when I introduce them as they are future leaders. So even though we work with orphanages, we sponsor, kids, they do surgery for their disease or whatever. So I seldom use this name, but it's so easy to get attention. Oh, you work in an orphanage. I think I could be a bigger organization if I use all of these tech. We have a future leader, school of future leaders. This is how we call it. So we foresee their future and they will become leaders. They just need someone to give the hand, and they will be as amazing as every one of us. We had a school, so help them academically. They learn a lot of English from you. And how to do business, that would be an amazing story you get to tell, and how you ask them to use $1 to make a business out of it. So some kids just bring back a lot of money after that project.
It started was literally it was a $1, and it didn't mean much, but it turned into a lot of money. These guys it's amazing.
It is amazing.
All right, so we get the School of Future Leaders. You went from sponsorship program and to future leaders, but there's a group of people in there that I think are quickly overlooked, and that's the mentors.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that went into the mentors that people don't realize. Without the mentors, you don't have a school of future leaders, or you're not developing excellent future leaders.
Yes. And what we believe is in Book of Timothy about how we can equip others to train others. So we believe in legacy. We believe we need to pass on our wisdom, our experience, and blessings. So by doing that, I was firsthand a lot of time, but because of that, we also get a lot of people to respond to this vision, and people, even officials, churches, different local businesses, and they just started to join us. And from 70, we gradually grew and grew and grew, and different states, from one little state and becoming a group of thousands of people. We have 40 staff, and one staff watch over 100 kids.
Most was 100.
Most.
And that was an all-star. He was kind of like a Michael Jordan of mentoring.
Yes. And he had 100 kids under him, and he visited all of them in a month. So kind of truly in touch with these kids, knowing what's going on. And they will write letters to us every month, and we had stacks of letters coming from the villages. And it's just so, it's a family. And we never wanted to be like a ministry. It is a family. This is relational. This is life.
We actually did a terrible job fundraising.
Very bad.
Nobody knew what we were doing.
But God is so faithful.
Yeah.
God is so faithful. If you ask me about how the money, I don't know how to start. Because at one time I remember coming back to the U.S. and I went to a missionaries, they call it missionaries, whatever, but counseling. And they asked me, what was your most challenging thing when you were there? And I said, I thought about it. I thought, probably feeling, alone. And I pretty much you need support, And then the counselor said, that's interesting. Most of these people, they come back, the most challenging thing they faced was money. I said one time, I just shared a testimony. I say one time we needed to put $100,000 into, the kids' a new school semester. We need to deliver the fund. And we had no money. And I gather all the future leaders, and they were little, and I said, let's pray. And they all kind of said here, there, Next day, money arrived in our bank. So we got to give out all the money to the kids. So this is just one of the many stories.
So many stories. so many crazy stories.
That really shows me it's not my vision, it's his. Because if it is his, he will be responsible. He takes care of, he loves these kids more than I do.
One of the things that totally attracted me to you in the very beginning when I met you is that heart of like, I don't want to build a corporate man-made ministry where whatever that is, but it was not. It was a family. It was very personable. It was deep with every child. I saw that in you as one of the things I'm like, ooh, this girl, I like this one. But it is. That's why we didn't need to do a huge fundraising thing, because we didn't have massive overhead and things that were bogging us down. It was very relational. But we saw the miracles come through. And like we're doing in real estate now, we had the English training school, which that came out of nowhere, how God showed us how to develop that. And that paid for a season, a lot of things. So pretty amazing. Just amazing to see that. So we've gone from sponsorship program, that first 70, what happened to those guys?
Man, it's never thought, 70 is such a significant number. And back then I didn't pay attention. And that place called in English, the first rock. It's like the first rock God got to step on. And this 70s all got into big-time universities.
And at that time, only 1% of high school graduates got into university, and all 70 got in.
Yep. And now they all, doing really well. They became doctors and scientists and just a lot.
An attorney, they name it. They were all over the place.
And some of them came back and worked with us.
Yeah. And many of them now are the ones running the programs.
Programs, yes.
And I would call it programs, but they're the families.
Right. And without me telling them.
Yeah.
The few years pandemic, and I couldn't be there, but they just sent me pictures and say, this is one way we can thank God and thank you by giving us opportunity. Now is our time to give back. And they run the whole thing without us even be there or even finance that. They take the money out of their pockets. And one of the kids even adopt one of these little boy.
So our dream now is not only to help the ones that we've helped, but finding others who are doing the same and equipping them as well. So those mentors, which I think it's really expanding the mentor program to doesn't have to be under Gift of Joy's name, could be any name, but we want to equip them. One of the things you said that the hardest thing we found was being alone. Sometimes you're just alone. And it was tough to just be so alone. Tell us a little bit about the dream of helping the next phase of rescuing kids.
When I was in the orphanage and you felt like, wow, I feel so good. I am doing something really meaningful. And they loved me because I look like a hero to them, and you feel good. I talk to myself and God and say, hey, what if all these kids, they are my kids, and 24/7 I have to be with them? Is there such a love like this? So I did talk to God because I don't want my ego to be bigger than this. I don't want that feeling good to become my idol. In this journey, even though I thought I would be single, never thought I would find a
amazing
husband
man that could live without.
And I thought, who would like to marry a girl, just go off and do her thing? But God sent you to me. And after all this, we established a family, and God gave us a very special gift, Jamin. And
4 special gifts.
4 special gifts.
And we won the lottery with Jamin.
Yes. And I always love all of them. But I think Jamin is more like, ding, Anita, remember your conversation with me. This love does exist because he doesn't see them lack of anything, So they all are special. So when I received Jamin as a mom, especially from my culture, I think to Americans probably is such a, it's okay, we all love them. It's a shame. It's like you have a problem. Your family has a kid like this. And I have friends of friends, even said it, to my friend about why they don't abort the boy. Why they keep him? She didn't check. So it's a different paradigm. When I received Jamin, I knew God has a call in my life to be the mother because they don't have the voice yet to be the voice. I truly believe ministry is not about going to do something. It's about wherever I am at, I am demonstrating the kingdom. I'm demonstrating the love. So even when I have to stay home and to be the mother for that one boy, for my 4 kids, of course, but he taught me a lot. And I became an infant massage instructor, a doula, all that you can call, because I need to learn all this to make sure he's in, the best of his health. What I'm trying to say is Gift of Joy is not just an organization, okay, let's do it again. It's my journey. It's a journey of motherhood, how to truly advocate for children. They may need just one need to push. And so right now, I feel like after 20 years, that passion in me always been very, very strong. But I think the sound of freedom is one of the kick in the butt. It's not like we want to be famous or be known doing something. I think we need to partner with people that are already fighting for these children and how we can be part of it. And it may not look exactly the same, but I think we need to join arms together. And, we have sold everything, like just to see, one kid, touch on one kid, we can change the world one kid at a time. This is what we believe. And so right now, 20 years, and I feel like it's like about time. And he told me a year ago to put a book together. And that is a book the children's book about just a picture book, not just, it's a picture book to talk about identity. God is leading us into the next phrase, how to be father, mother to these children.
And then the other thing you're working on is strengths.
So I am a strength finder coach, especially to help people to develop their strengths and to truly find out how can I maximize this strength so that this will benefit me, your living, instead of like overuse it or underuse it.
Which also benefits the world, because if people are working in their strength,
Yep.
then they're helping people in the strongest possible way. If they're working in their weaknesses, they're not giving the world the best.
Yeah, the convention world would tell you something different. You get a C in math. Come on, do more. But instead, we want, the best coming out from your strength. What gives you life? When you do it, that motivates you to do more.
So now people want to connect with you. What's the best way to connect with you? They email you, call you. What should they do? Go to rescuekids.org.
They can go to rescuekids.org or Anita WM Coaching.
AnitaWMCoaching.com. Okay. One thing people can do to partner with us is if you do the coaching, 100% of the proceeds from the coaching goes towards rescuing kids. They could buy the book. 100% of the proceeds from the book goes to rescuing kids. They just want to give money. The rescuekids.org website, you can actually just give there. Also, if people do refer real estate business to us anywhere in the nation, the money from those referrals goes to helping rescue kids too as well. We need 100 transactions. If we do 100 transactions in a year, that's $200,000 that goes to rescuing kids.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the book. Is sending to America right now. And I want to give out 300 books to people that they resonate with this vision and they want to be someone to promote it. The social media is amazing, but I do believe in the power of people, the 300 Gideon people, they are powerful. They will see the vision. They will promote it. So I will give them out for free. So if they want to be part of it, they will get a book. But they will have some responsibilities. And this book
There's the hook.
and these books will go to nations. We want to send these books to nations and reach out to families. And hopefully this will be like a bridge to help parents to connect with their children. And also the children, if they get to read this, they will find they are amazing from A to Z.
It's a fun book. Very fun book from your heart.
From my heart.
Yep. Well, very good, honey. I am so proud of you, and I get to be called your husband. What a absolute gift for me. So
we are a team. We are a team.
yeah. Well, thank you for everybody who's been watching this. We are not professional salespeople for any of this stuff. I do sell real estate, but this stuff just comes from our heart, and we love you guys.
All right. Love you guys.
Thank you for listening to Avoda Agent. If you'd like to get on the waiting list for Anita's book or make a donation to Rescue Kids or just get in touch, head to rescuekids.org. The link is in the description. We'll see you next time. Have an amazing rest of the week.